What up? What up? What up? What's good, y'all? Hope y'all having a blessed Sunday. Y'all know what it is. This is Jared O'Levin Green with another installment of the Southern Baller Show. And of course, I have my brothers on the panel, my LDBC brothers. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Please hit my like button. Like, not only like, but share and sub if you like what you're hearing. Um, well, we're going to go into the fellas, man. Coast 67 Sports TV. How's everything going, brother?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored. Another day above ground. How y'all gentlemen doing this afternoon?
Man, can't complain about nothing, man. Can't complain about anything. JB, how about yourself, man?
Hey man, I'm enjoying my Sunday and enjoying kicking with you fellas, man. Let's get it.
All right, all right. Man, let's so those who don't know, pads are coming on. A lot of ball clubs are putting on the pads Monday. This Monday, Sunday, today, everybody's taking a rest. But Monday, they putting that pads on, so there's gonna be a lot of live drills. So the reason why this is so exciting, a lot of NFL coaches, um, and the coaching staff is going to be able to see how their additions are going to turn out. What how it was it? This is, in my opinion, coach, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of coaches in management is going to see if they have a potential star, or they're going to be like, oh damn, I think we reached on this draft pick.
I think it depends on a GM. In some instances,
Of course, they got to play the game, but
yeah.
still, like them pads put on the live drills, fully geared up. It's a whole different ball game. And I see y'all, man. Joe, Big Joe, salute to the family. Joseph Townsend, appreciate you, man. And Brent Fox.
Man, salute Big Joe. Salute to the Lieutenant Brent Fox. Man, give the Queen Mother our hello. Let her know, hey, tell her hello from us. You know what I'm saying? But just to answer your question, bro, yeah, you know, in some instances, even in training camp or even once the season start, in some instances it might be too early to tell.
Yeah.
So it might be a little bit too early. But in some instances you could tell a bus early on in the game, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it give you your first look. You right from that perspective. You know, you never know how it really gonna turn out in some instances, but you right, this your first sneak peek, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna give you an example. This a way out analogy, you know what I'm saying? But in some instances, you might have a cousin or a partner. They be like, man, hey, I got a new girlfriend, and man, she bad, she this, she that, whoop the whoop. And I'm like, all right, this is gonna be my first chance to get a look at her, see what you're working with, you know what I'm saying? And man, you see that chick for the first time, you be like, man, this can't be the chick he talking about. Maybe he got another chick that he been hiding that he gonna bring out, and then you find out, I know this chick he been bragging about, and she ain't all he said she was gonna be. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
I done
Good
had to have
example.
it real life, and I'm like, bro, this can't be the chick. And then when they were like, no, that's his girlfriend, I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness. So
But we gonna see. I know it's early, and like you said, they actually have to play, a game to see how the new additions gonna turn out. But the staff is gonna have a first look, um, how the players move. I'm talking about the draft picks and the new additions from free agency, new signings. Are they out of shape? Are they healthy? So this is a good standpoint, or starting point. But I got my brother Big Joseph Townsend, LDC Business on the panel. Other co-hosts, what's going on?
Man, man, salute Big Joe.
What's going on with y'all? How y'all doing on this Sunday?
Blessed and highly favored, you dick.
Already,
Chilling,
what's good
bro.
with y'all? Already, what's good? We got Coach, we got Jay, got JB. What's cracking, man? We got some foosball going on around here.
Foosball.
Got some
For real.
Football
foosball.
time, baby.
But Big Joe, do you agree with what I was saying? Of course, we know we gonna see for sure if the new additions or the draft picks for these ball clubs are gonna be um, good if they actually play. But I feel like when the pass on the practice management, then the coaching staffs are gonna see first look, gonna have an idea kind of what they're gonna be expecting. Am I off?
You said when they put the pads on, or just
Yeah,
in
they going. A
general?
lot of them boys. Month tomorrow gonna be going live practice.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of players that look good in a jersey and shorts on and shells. You know what I mean? A lot of players look good working out, whether it's via combine and stuff like that. But you're gonna find out what you really got when you put them pads on. You're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
find out. You're gonna find out if your scouting department was right or if they was wrong. You know what I mean? Or we're gonna see if there's somebody that y'all missed who's out there shining, doing their thing. Meanwhile, your second and third round pick is out there looking hot garbage. So but yeah, on pads you're gonna find out. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting. So yeah, I mean everybody look good now. Doing 7-on-7. How you gonna look good? You know what I mean? How you gonna look when you got to catch a ball come across the middle, or when you got a cornerback jamming you up, rather D lineman? How you gonna look when you got a lineman actually grabbing you and he ain't letting you go? So, or as an old lineman when
All
you got
right.
when you got when you got a D lineman bull rushing you, you know what I mean? You on skate. So yeah, first day is always exciting.
Yes, sir. And to Coach's point, he was saying before you got hopped on, Big Joe, that um, it really don't matter. It matters, but it really don't. Um, to Coach's point, Jamar Chase during a couple of years back, um, he was dropping everything in live practice with the pass on.
In preseason.
And yeah,
Yep.
in preseason and in practice. So a lot of people were saying, calling him a bust and everything. Look at him now.
Yeah, I mean, there's some cases where guys don't look good in practice, but they show up during the games. Another example was Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp was not a practice person. He'll get blown up in practice and everything, and then he'll go out there on game day and do his thing. You know what I mean? But hey, we talking about practice. But either way, these are reps that everybody needs. It's good that Jamar Chase was dropping them in practice, so that way he can catch them in the game. You don't want him catching them in practice and dropping them in the game. So you rather have it, you know what I mean? When it don't count. So, that works as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well put. Well put. JB, well, I'm gonna start with you because Coach and Big Joe already cooked on as far as being the pads being put on Monday. So the teams are gonna have live practice. Um, who do you have your eye on? It doesn't have to be a Baltimore Raven. But who do you have your eye on? Who do you expect um, to have some good news from these camps? What draft pick or which? Yeah, we're gonna go draft picks. Which draft pick?
Dang. Well, if it has to be a draft pick, it would probably be either Cam Ward or
Mm.
Justin Hunter. Travis Hunter, I meant. Um,
I'm about to
based on
say,
the
who is
situation.
Justin? Who the hell is Justin? I'm about
Justin,
to.
Justin Hunter.
I was thinking about I was thinking about Justin Jefferson for some reason, but so his name came up. But Travis Hunter. So them two. When we all know about his personal stuff that came out. I want to see where he at
Mm,
mentally, how he played football, and then especially with that physical contact, the NFL contact, and then Cam Ward. You know, can he make the Tennessee Titans great again? You know what I'm saying? And, they failed tremendously with Will Levis. We all know that we saw that coming. I was not a fan of Will Levis. I thought they should have held on to that boy from that went to Green Bay. I forget his name, but but
yeah, I
those
know what you're talking
two
about.
but another one that's not a draft pick is uh Anthony Richardson from the Colts.
Mm,
Uh, Everybody's saying that you know, it's a do or die moment for him now because he doesn't have long football experience. Uh, so from what I'm hearing, him and Daniel Jones been having some good practices. This last practice they just had, they both struggled a little bit because and to be honest, I think the Indianapolis Colts secondary is going to be way better than they was last year with their additions of Javaris Ward and and Bynum from Minnesota. So they're going to be very good this year. But I'm expecting Anthony Richardson to do his thing this year. Um, no excuses. I think he got all the weapons around him to do it. He got a good old line. He got some weapons. He got a good running game. He just need to buckle down and do it. He can never do that shit he did last year, tapping his helmet like he on the basketball team to get subbed out. Ain't no subbing out, bro. You a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So, but we'll
yeah, that was
see.
crazy.
And yeah, but those are my picks or dudes that I'm looking at.
Okay, but yeah, you took mine actually, JB. Mine is actually Travis Hunter as well. Like you said, with the personal drama he got going on, it's gonna be interesting to see if mentally he's gonna have to block that out. And I made it to the NFL, man. I made it to the NFL. I need to focus on this. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting, man. Uh, Big Joe, who you got your eyes on?
Oh, you talking about just rookies or in general?
We going rookies.
Mm. I'm very interested in Shiloh. I really
Shiloh
want to see
Sanders,
how I really
good
want to see
one.
how Shiloh going to do. I hear he's doing good out there. I haven't heard nothing the past couple of days and whatnot, but I'm interested to see how he do. If he's gonna is he gonna be practice squad guy or is he gonna earn a spot? Doing special teams. So Shiloh's one. I really want to see how that the kid who went from Penn State, he went to the Giants. He wanted Lawrence Taylor's number. I'm interested in him. I forgot the brother's name, but the dude from Penn State. Um, but yeah, I'm interested to see how he do. Let me see if I can pick one more. Let me see. Pick one more. Of course, everybody's gonna say Shador, so I'm not gonna say Shador.
Right,
Um,
but you would have been all right.
mm,
And you're
mm,
talking about Abdul Carter.
yeah. Abdul Carter. Let me see. Hmm. Yeah, I'll just say those two right now. Abdul Carter and Shiloh. That's what I'm very interested in.
Okay. And shout out to Mr. Shelton in the chat talking about some Brock, MF, and Purdy. Here we go. But on the cool though, all seriousness, this is a year, a make or break year for Brock Purdy because he ain't got none of his weapons. like he did, and as far as the wide receiving core. So we gonna see if he legit.
Yep.
Well, they didn't.
Thing
Well,
not
they,
a game.
well, they ain't pay him like he was legit. They pay him like a middle field quarterback. But hey,
And we got Memphis man in the building. Anthony Bolton, salute, brother. All right, Coach. Who you have your eyes on? What rookie you have your eyes on?
Well, you know, definitely is obvious. I don't make the obvious pick, but if I just had to make an obvious pick, it definitely would be Shedeur Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe he has the potential to win the starting quarterback job for Cleveland. You know, that's my personal opinion. But if I had to move away from him, in my opinion, it definitely would be Tyler Show. As a Saints fan, like
I can
for, for,
understand that. Yeah.
for the Saints to take this dude and take this pass on Shedeur a few times over and take this guy, man, guess what? This dude better be the real deal. And then of course, outside of that, I'm gonna say Kelvin Banks Jr. He was the offensive tackle the Saints drafted. It was a much needed position. So hopefully he can be better than you know, some of the other draft picks. You know, there's been a mixed bag. I don't think the Saints has really hit on a real good first round draft pick. I'll probably say since they took Ryan Ramczyk and Lattimore and Kamara, they was all in the same draft.
Right.
So it's been a long time since the Saints done hit on a good first round pick and hit on a good offensive lineman first round pick. So you know, this is a huge draft for Mickey Loomis because as far as I'm concerned, as a Saints fan, he's past his expiration date. But we'll see, you know.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. And Anthony Bolton, thank you. You mentioned something we're gonna one of the next topics um that we're gonna talk about, so we can roll right into that topic.
oh
Um,
man,
go
can
ahead,
I add two more? I done forgot.
please.
Oh Lord, I want to see what my dog Ashton Genty gonna do.
Aston Genty,
You
yeah.
know, he was balling in Boise State. Some folks saying, will it translate to the NFL? I'm hearing that the one of the worst coaches in NFL history. He's trying to change his stance on how he's standing in the backfield. I forgot his name. He used to be the Oregon Ducks coach. And he was coaching with the Eagles.
Talking about Chip
Chip
Kelly?
Kelly.
Yeah. Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator or the running back
Oh
coach for the
hell no.
Raiders. So he over there trying to change Ashton Genty's stance to have him put bend in his knee instead of standing up straight. So we're gonna see if that's gonna affect this game or not. But then also
Oh,
I want to see what my boy Jackson Dart gonna do. Because I've been hearing a whole lot about he's this and he's that and whatnot, but in 7-on-7, his first pass was a pick six. So I don't know. He's
Damn.
supposed to be better. He's supposed to be better than Shador. So I want to see it.
And
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. And right before you say anything, Coach, I just want to add because Big Joe just reminded me of someone that I actually want to. I got my ears to the ground for. Jalen Milroe with the
Shout out to
Seahawks.
Milrow. Yes, sir. Milrow. Yes, sir.
Jalen Milroe. I hope he do well, man. But go ahead, Coach.
But yeah, the Mr. Shelton's point and your point in terms of Brock Purdy, he don't have all the toys to play with that he's had in the past. So it's gonna be interesting to see if he is all Mr. Shelton says he is. If he is, then he gonna do his thing. However, if he what I think he is, then he gonna get exposed. But one other thing too that Big Joe pointed out that myself and Jay Good was talking about behind the scenes, shout out to Jay Good. Like this summer and last summer, I was supposed to coach a 7-on-7 team. Last summer, in terms of the players, all the star players from the team that I was coaching, like couple of them played AAU basketball. A couple of them played travel league baseball. A couple of them, couple of them went to another 7-on-7 team. And by the time you really start chipping away these few players, I didn't have a 7-on-7 team, right? So this summer here, you know, it was a similar type situation. So these 2 seasons I was with that was 7-on-7 team, and it never came to fruition. But you know, I'm not big on 7-on-7, and I think part of the reason why I'm not big on 7-on-7 because, you know, when I played ball in the late 90s, like the starting running back, the running backs that played with me when I was at Assumption, Brad Hill ended up going on and to be the starting running back at Grambling. And of course, y'all know Brandon Jacobs ended up playing for the Giants. So those were like the two. We were like a running team. We didn't do a whole lot of passing. And 7-on-7 just was a portion of practice to us, whereas now 7-on-7 is like big business, you know what I'm saying? And I done seen so many 7-on-7 teams, like literally when 7-on-7 championships during all season, but when the regular season roll around, like they don't have that physical element. The offensive line plays trash, they soft, they pretty boys, and they get punched in the mouth when the season come and they trash as 11-on-11 team. And you know, I just kind of want to point that out from I'm not big on 7-on-7, but I think from a content standpoint, you know, with the destroying guy, the kicker, you know, he made it real popular, and then you got Cam Newton and other people. So 7-on-7 really is taking off. But some of these, like Big Joe made an excellent point. Some of these guys do well with with helmets and shells on, not even shells, hell, just helmets and t-shirts or just t-shirts and cleats. But when it's time to put the pads on and get the 11-on-11, like they really don't perform the same. So that's one thing, you know, Big J Good and I was talking about behind the scenes in terms of, you know, 7-on-7 always don't translate over 11-on-11, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it don't. It really don't. But Memphis Man, aka Anthony Bolton, aka Memphis Man, brought up a good point. He said, I wonder what Shamar Stewart, the first round pick from the Bengals, will do. And that's actually one of the topics we're going to talk about right now. Shamar Stewart, who was threatening to go back into the draft for next year, he was basically holding out. He finally agreed to fully guaranteed contract for 4 years for was it 18.97 mil, and that's in addition to a 10.4 mil signing bonus. So my question to you fellas, because I just looked at his stats, not stats, his highlights. Very explosive, freak athlete. If anything, he's going to help the Bengals in the running game, unfortunately. If it translates. But he ain't get sacks like that in college. I think he only got 1 sack last year. And I think he played all his games. So my question is, do you think it was worth it, Big Joe?
Do I think it's worth it, or do I think he's gonna pan out?
About both, actually.
Well, he is getting there now when training camp is just really starting. He did not participate in any OTAs or anything or mini camps because he was obviously boycotting and wanting to get his contract signed. I've heard so many things that he went back to school, training with the school. I've heard all type of stuff, but I'm happy to hear that he signed. I'm happy to hear that he's getting his money and everything. Now, is he ready to play? Is he in condition? Has he been working out? Is he in shape? You know what I mean? All that stuff is going to play in a factor. You know, I haven't heard nothing bad about the kid. I know Cincinnati has brought up some stuff, but I haven't heard anything about him getting in trouble or doing anything crazy to where it stopped them from getting drafted in the first round. You know what I mean? They talked about Shador like crazy. He went fifth, but but the Bengals drafted this guy in the first round, making it seem like this guy might go to jail or whatever. But why you draft the guy if he might go to jail? so,
Right.
but getting sacks in college or not, sometimes it matters and it don't. Perfect example was Vernon Golston. Vernon Golston was a beast in college, went to the NFL, didn't pan out. Some guys are just late bloomers. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They, like you said, he's explosive. He's doing this thing. He put some a little bit of that NFL touch on it. Learn some technique, learn some good hand swipes, learn some good ripping pulls, or you know what I mean, or learn that Aaron Donald, pull through and rip. He might be a monster. So I just hope he's in shape. I hope he doesn't have any soft tissue injuries. But the fact that he signed right before they put the pads on, I think he's going to be just fine. The Bengals defense is lackluster, so any addition is going to help. They still ain't signed Hendricks, So, but he's going to make plays because they ain't really got no playmakers over there. So, shout out to him, and I hope he stay healthy.
Good answer. And excuse me, he had 1.5 sacks in all 3 of his seasons.
Yeah, so they pretty much got him just off of potential,
Yeah.
and sometimes you just take a risk on a player. Sometimes coaches see something like, okay, he's explosive, but he ain't got hands. I can work with that. Oh, he's hands, but his get off is whatever. I can work on that. So we'll see we'll see if the scout team is right.
JB, I'm going to you, my fellow Baltimore Raven brother.
I don't give a damn if this boy become great or not. I hope
Yo,
he
hold on,
is
let me land
terrible.
it. Let me land the question. Let me land the question. Do you think he was going to be the Bengals Adafe Owe? Because Adafe Owe hardly had no sacks coming out of
And
college.
I think that's what they're banking off of, like Big Joe said, potential.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Adafe Owe had 0 sacks his senior year, right? So, but we looked at his explosiveness. So with Stewart, I think Bengals is doing the same thing. He's explosive. He can disrupt your running game in the run game. So, but um, as far as that, I don't think he's going to make a difference. As far as what's going to make a difference is them signing uh, uh, Hendrickson. That's going to make a difference for them. So he can mentor this young dude. Like on that D line, like Metabike did, and Cal Van Noy, and doing with the Ravens. He needs a mentor. I mean, unless he's like that, he just come out as a rookie and just dominate. But that's more than likely not to happen. I can be wrong, but I'm not seeing that. Especially with you just getting 1.5 sacks, and even Owe wasn't tearing it up his first 5-7 games in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? We saw the potential.
Mm-hmm.
You
Saw the
know,
flashes, yeah.
we saw the flashes, but he was coming in on rush packages and stuff like that. So um, him getting a veteran in there. So hopefully the Bengals sign Hendrickson, and if they don't, then it's going to be trouble.
All right. And lastly, Coach, what you think? With Shamar Stewart, was it
I
worth
think
it, or is he going to pan out? Go ahead.
honestly, I don't know, but I think the panel brought up some excellent points. I think he got paid more off potential more so than production. And I think the classic example of this, it kind of reminds me of Mike Mamula years ago. They talked about, man, this guy's going to be a NFL Hall of Famer and this, that, and the third. And he was so phenomenal at the combine and blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this dude, they make it sound like he's going to be like the second coming of Lawrence Taylor or Derek Thomas or somebody like that. And, man, that dude for the Eagles, I think he ended up making one Pro Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. So at the end of the day, you know, sometimes you drive players off potential. Other instances is more for production. Like JB and both Big Joe said, I think without Trey Hendrickson, because I'm not going to even lie, there was a point when Trey Hendrickson played for the Saints that I wasn't sold on him. I really thought that he was you know, so productive because he was opposite of Cam Jordan. Then in many instances, they had a NASCAR package where they had both Cam Jordan, Trey Hendrickson, and Marcus Davenport all in simultaneously. And by the end of the season, I had to tell Rude Dog, I'm like, man, I think you're right, because this dude, Trey Hendrickson, he really is a beast. Because the Saints always used to have this, you know, these pass rushers that they want to make all world, and they would be mediocre. You know, basically they're good training camp type guys that they would try to make a star, and they wouldn't be all that. And I thought he was kind of that guy because the Saints were synonymous for doing that with guys like Adam Big Hill that never really panned out. And Trey Hendrickson just ended up doing this thing. But I think without them bringing in Trey Hendrickson, or bringing him back, I don't think he would pan out. But I think they drafted him more off of potential more so than production. But hopefully he pans out, and hopefully they can get their pass rushing situation straight, because, you know, just to think, I mean, not too long ago, you know, the Bengals was in a Super Bowl, and you had two savage defensive ends that was able to get after the quarterback. In the days pass happy league, you know, you need multiple guys that can rush the passer. So in some instances, having two isn't good enough. Some instances, you might need 3 or 4 real elite level pass rushers, you know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Coach. And salute to my brother Big Red, host of Big Boy Talk. He said, "What's good, everybody?" Also salute to Autism Boy, Cottage 81. Salute chat room. Salute, man. Appreciate y'all coming in supporting. And you and Jay the Six had a good show Friday, man. Y'all please support this brother, man. Good content over there. Now I'm gonna share something with y'all, and then I'm gonna relay the question. Let me know if y'all can hear it. So those of you who don't know, before I play it, there was a beef going on. There's currently back and forth going on, or yeah, you can say beef with between Cam Newton and Ryan Clark over if basically over Jalen Hurts. So let me play it.
Cam Newton. Anything that Cam says is going to go viral. Box office. Who hotter than me?
Well, Cam's wrong.
Cam Newton went to 3 Pro Bowls. Jalen Hurts already been to 2. Cam Newton was an MVP, and he got to the Super Bowl, and he forgot to bring his cape.
Mr. Ryan Clark, you're attacking the messenger and not attacking the message. Terrell Owens, we all know that you don't have the best relationships with your quarterbacks. Me being a quarterback, I'm just going to leave it at that. Gilly, you posted me on your social story. And Peggy, I got a question to ask. Can you name me one Gilly the Kid album? Damn. Did you know his album was Philadelphia? Damn.
Jalen Hurts is the quarterback you got to go through in the NFC to win the Super Bowl.
You do not need to go through Jalen Hurts.
Who do you need to go through?
The Philadelphia Eagles. Damn. So since that we want to attack the messenger, Ryan Clark. Okay, let's pull up your stats. Second team All SEC. We cannot relate. Undrafted in 2002. We cannot relate. 1 Pro Bowl in 2011. We cannot relate. People keep attacking Cam, the person, or why he didn't jump on the fumble, comparing and contrasting. So when I compare and contrast you guys' statistics and Dan Orlovsky, never mind. But the message here is Jalen Hurts. This has nothing to do with me hating. Eagles fan, this has nothing to do with me being bitter. This is just my thought process in evaluating quarterbacks. Let's make people debate about sports again. There's too many homeboys in the industry. There's too many insiders that are moved by relationships. Well, you're not talking about the person. You're more or less talking about their performance. And that's what I will talk about. Did you know, Peggy, Jalen Hurts only threw for 2,900 yards in the whole season?
Yeah, 2,903 yards.
Did you know that his former teammate at Alabama, Tua Tagovailoa, threw for 36 yards less? You know, the kicker in that is?
What is it?
Tua only played in 11 games. Baker Mayfield threw for 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. Justin Herbert's stats, 23 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. So what are we talking about?
Fair use, YouTube.
Fair use, YouTube. So, what do y'all think? So basically, I'm gonna go to
I'll get the
JB.
gist of it. No, I won't go first, bro. I got to go first on this one.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
See, the thing about it is, if Cam Newton is saying that Jalen Hurts is trash, that's how it kind of sounds to me. Then I don't think it's a fair point. The reason being is because if you're looking at his talent as opposed to what he's asked to do, those are two different things. If you was to switch him and I don't know, Patrick Mahomes, if you was to switch him and Joe Burrow, the dynamics are different. But I mean, you got Barkley behind Jalen Hurts with him in the backfield. You got 2 savage wide receivers. You got a killer offensive line, and you got a savage defense. He don't need to do a whole lot. He don't need to be Joe Montana. He don't need to be Steve Young. He don't need to be Tom Brady. He don't need to be this all-world quarterback. He don't need to throw it 50 times a game. So, I don't understand what Cam Newton is saying. I mean, if he's saying, yeah, hey, Philadelphia is a phenomenal team, and they're not asking Jalen Hurts to do a whole lot, then I would agree. But
Let me give you context, Coach, because you cooking.
No. All right,
So-
go.
So, Cam Newton said that Jalen Hurts is not in his top 5 quarterback.
He don't need to be
So-
there.
Top 10.
Right. Or top 10, thank you.
He don't need to
And once he said that, people like Ryan Clark and the internet just piled on Cam Newton again. But go ahead, Coach.
That's my point, though. He don't need to be. And I kind of already saw this on Shay, Shannon Sharp, and Ocho Cinco was talking about it. So that was the point I was making. If you're saying from a talent standpoint, he's not top 5 or top 10, then you way off. If you're talking about what he's asked to do, I mean, you got Saquon Barkley, you got a savage offensive line, you got a savage defense. He don't need, in terms of production standpoint, he don't need to be the best quarterback. He don't need to be Josh Allen. He don't need to be Patty Mahomes. He don't need to be Joe Burrow in terms of what you asking him to do. For the most part, we had this conversation with Cam Newton when it came to Brock Purdy, and I agree with him when it came to Brock Purdy. I even agree with him when it came to what the Cowboys quarterback name is the one they gave all the money to the Cowboys quarterback. Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, when it comes to those type of guys, when you say
Dak
those
Prescott.
guys, Dak Prescott. If you saying they game managers, cool. Hell, if you want to say Jalen Hurts is a game manager, cool. But guess what? From a talent standpoint, he's one whole hell of a dynamic game manager. You know what I'm saying? So he don't need to be Tom Brady from a production standpoint. When you got a savage offensive line and a savage running game and a savage defense and 2 star wide receivers, then you don't need to do that. You don't need to be there. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's a situation of where Jalen Hurts, from a talent standpoint, is not a top 5, top 10 quarterback. I think they don't ask him to do a whole lot because of the situation he's in. I mean, in all actuality, if you if you had a gun in my head and you said, hey, name me all the franchise quarterbacks in the NFL, you only got about 7 of them. You know what I'm saying? And those are Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, and maybe you could throw in a couple other guys. But for the most part, definitely Lamar Jackson. I can't forget him. But you only got so many.
Boy, I was about to say.
Well, Joe, you got to realize I'm spitballing this, Joe. But the point I'm trying to make is, really those guys I named: Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. Those guys that played at the end of the season, that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, to me, I think what he needs to do is, because in many instances, like y'all pointed out last show, with the social media era, a lot of times people say stuff that might be a hot take, that might be controversial, just to go viral. But at the end of the day, if you say from a talent standpoint, Jalen Hurts is not your top 5 or top 10, I'll be like, hey, bro, what the F you talking about? But if you said they're not asking him to do a whole lot, and as a result, he's not my top 5, top 10, then that's cool. So two things could be true at the same time. But if you say from a talent standpoint, yeah, hey, bro, we got a problem. But I don't think they asked him to do a whole lot. So that's why you can't make it seem like, Jalen Hurts is so trash. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Big Joe, what's your thoughts on what we just heard, and is everybody overreacting?
I sure wish Cam Newton was talking about Brock Purdy again, but I guess we gotta talk about this. First, let me say this first. Cam Newton is that dude. The Cam Newton at Auburn 1 season Heisman Trophy, that boy. When he's in the NFL, we have the Cam Newton dabbing icon era. Cam Newton is that dude. So let's get that out of the way first. So Cam Newton is not just some scrub out there talking. You know what I mean? He's a guy who's actually a baller, actually a player. He was actually that dude. So I get what Cam Newton is saying. Again, this is his list. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. This is his list. You don't feel like Jalen Hurts is a top quarterback because you don't feel like Jalen Hurts has to do enough. He feel like Jalen Hurts is a system player. He has guys around him who are doing their thing. Which is on par with how he feels because he feels the same way about Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy's not on his list. So is it fair? Who really cares? Is his list. But I know Jalen Hurts don't care. Jalen Hurts, he will use this as fuel. Jalen Hurts is already not wearing the ring from last year because, he's ready for this year. Again, Jalen Hurts never said anything. Jalen Hurts has been minding his business, getting ready for the season. This is just everybody threw up a top 10 quarterback list, and some folks is pissed off because Jalen Hurts is on there or he's not. But either way, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Either way, he's ready for this year. Jalen Hurts is a motivation kind of guy. You got the infamous video of him walking in to play Super Bowl, and he looked up and saw everybody picking the Chiefs to win. He shook his head and went out there and won the game. All this is going to do is add fuel to the fire for them to actually want to double up this year because they got the talent. They got the weapons. What Jalen Hurts did, Jalen Hurts is doing what they're asking him to do. Last time I checked, any job that you have, you do what they ask you to do. So it's not Jalen Hurts' fault that they're not asking him to throw the ball, 40 times a game, like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, he barely won some games last year because he ain't have no help or whatnot. See, when you win, they say something. When you lose, they're gonna say, "Oh man, if he only had some help." Ain't that what they say about LeBron James? If he only had some help. So now we have a quarterback who has the help, doing what he's asking to do, and everybody's down at him for that. You got old boy from the Chargers, old Sunshine. He on the list, but he can't win Nathaniel. The last time I checked, he ain't a rookie no more. And you got Sunshine for the Jaguars. He ain't getting no smoke either. He ain't no rookie either. Ain't nobody saying, what's up with him. So regardless how folks feel, that's Cam's opinion. Cam's opinion. I don't like all the bickering back and forth when you critiquing people's stuff and you talking crazy to Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark talking crazy to you. Now you get Gilly the Kid. Gilly the Kid. Yeah, Gilly the Kid involved. You know what I mean? So it's all a bunch of Negro gossip. Either way, the Eagles are the reigning Super Bowl champions. Normally the reigning champion quarterback is on the list. But it's cool. All thing they're doing is giving Jalen Hurts more motivation for him to put in work this year. And like I said, no matter where you work at, you do what your job asks you to do, whether if you got help or not. And Jalen Hurts is doing his job. Jalen Hurts is doing what we critique Lamar Jackson to do. We say, Lamar, you doing too much. You got help. You got Derrick Henry.
Facts.
What is you doing? You know what I mean? And Lamar Jackson can't get over the hump. Meanwhile, Jalen is doing what they told him and need him to do, and he got a ring. So I need Jalen to keep doing what he do and don't listen to what everybody else is doing. Because last time I checked, I don't think Jalen plays for Cam Newton's approval. Jalen plays for his teammates, and what Herm Edwards say, you play to win the game. Well, if you win by 3 points or you win by 40, you play to win the game, and you play to win so you can play in February. The last time I checked, the Eagles played in February, and they dog walked the Chiefs. Everybody keep forgetting that part.
And not only that, but I don't mean to cut you off. Go, Big Joe.
No, you good, brother. Go ahead. You good.
No, and just to kind of piggyback off your point, man, Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence didn't win the Super Bowl. Hell, I don't think Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert, either one of them, even been out the first round of the playoffs in the NFL. So your list, your list, man, come on. That's why I say it's I don't know, bro. But you definitely was cooking, Big Joe.
Yeah. You know what, Big Joe always coming on here cooking. But to both of y'all point, opinions are abundant, man. It's okay to have one. So that was Cam Newton's opinion. And this is my point right here with Big Reg put. Jalen Hurts not trash. He's not in my top 7. But he's not trash. He did what he's supposed to do. So I don't know why everybody's back and forth and bickering and complaining. Like Big Joe said, man. And JB, what's your thoughts to wrap this up?
Man, I'm gonna put this in the pot, and that's gonna be it. That's that man's opinion. Now, I think he's full of shit on a couple of names on the list, but I think that's his opinion. I think I agree that that applies to people like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy. We're gonna see what type of QB Brock Purdy is now. But I did say that Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback without weapons because he can take off and run on your ass, and he can get out of trouble. He's been doing that since college. I don't agree with shitting on the man because his opinions. That's why I think Ryan and Clark and Gilly and all them other brothers are messing up. And then Cam, I think Cam is doing what he's doing just for clicks. And it is what it is. But I understand with his point with Brock is that Brock had a lot of people around him on that 49ers defense when he made that first comment about being a position quarterback or a management. What's it called again? I'm sorry.
Game manager.
Game manager. Thank you. Game manager.
And to your point, he had a lot of weapons on offense too in terms of Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. He had a loaded offense, a killer offensive line, and a loaded defense. So it seems like he's making a similar claim to, like you said, to Brock Purdy. But from a talent standpoint, Jalen Hurts is light years above Brock Purdy,
Yeah, in my opinion. And Brock is in my probably top 15, 20 as a QB. But Jalen would be in my top 10 because I know he's a good QB and he gets it done. He's not supposed to throw it for like 3,000, 4,000 yards. Not when you got a 2,000-yard running back in the backfield. You're not gonna pretty much throw for that much. That's the only reason why I said Lamar was the MVP. Not to make this about Lamar, because Derrick Henry almost had 2,000 yards and Lamar still threw for like 4,000 yards. So anyway, with less talent. But going back to the point at hand, I have an issue with, and this is his opinion, but I'm gonna point out some stuff. Now, you talk about him having help around him. Baker Mayfield is on your list. Baker Mayfield has all the help in the world. That offense he got with Mike Evans and Godwin, and they have good running backs over there in Tampa Bay. What's your boy's name? That boy from Oregon that tore our ass up in the bowl game.
Bucky Irvin.
Irvin Bucky, I think.
Yeah.
Irvin Bucky and Bucky Irvin. There you go. And then the other running back, White. They had a phenomenal year last year. And they had a pretty good offensive line. They got a pretty good offensive line. So Baker Mayfield got help too. So if you're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield don't need to be on there because he's not better than Jalen Hurts. So Baker always throwing the pick at the wrong time. Jared Goff. Jared Goff is on his list. He mentioned Jared Goff. Now, Jared Goff has weapons around him too. He has that run that what's the receiver name? From Notre Dame. For Notre Dame. St. Brown. St. Brown, and you got Williams. Then you got the tight end they got. I forget his name. They have a good running game. They have a pretty good offensive line. And their defense was decent. Now, last year they gave up a lot of plays because a lot of them, some of their key players got hurt at the end of the year, were injured. So, that too. So, there's a lot of people on Cam Newton's list while that's on the top 10, that he's taking shots at Jalen Hurts, saying he has a team around him. But those quarterbacks he had that's on the bottom 10 of his bottom 10 has a lot of help around them too. And they're not better quarterbacks. They're probably the definition of game managing quarterbacks. I don't look at Jalen Hurts as a game managing quarterback. He's a playmaker because he can do multiple things. He just doesn't pass the ball and be safe with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion. Cam can have all his opinions all he wants to, is his show, but I just disagree.
Okay. So you mean to tell me he got Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert on this list over Jalen Hurts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my! I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I say they got 7 franchise quarterbacks in the NFL, and I talk about Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts is one of those guys. Jaden Daniels. That's the top 6 right there. Maybe if you want to throw, I don't know, Justin Herbert in there. To me, that's the only franchise quarterbacks you can have in the whole NFL. That's what I'm saying. So how you get Baker Mayfield, even if we look at Jared Goff. Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl with the Rams. It's good in terms of all the weapons he had around him, defense, your savage running game. The next year, and then after that, they really didn't do nothing. realistically,
Yeah, because
that's the
he when they made that trade, there was a reason why
for
they
Matt
made that
Stafford.
trade.
Yeah, that's the
'Cause he was
reason
the
why
only
they went
missing
and got Matt
piece.
Stafford.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah, because Matt Stafford was the only missing piece. Yeah.
So you holler about help. He had all the help he needed with the Rams after losing in the Super Bowl or going to the Super Bowl, whatever. He couldn't do nothing after that. That's the reason why they ended up going and get Stafford. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest with you. I see a lot of holes from a logical standpoint in terms of connecting the dots in terms of this list. Like I said, they only got 7 franchise quarterbacks in the NFL. I just named them. That's what I'm saying. So for you to have Baker Mayfield on this list above Jalen Hurts is crazy to me. But like everybody said, everybody has their opinion and they're entitled to it. Now, like Big Joe said, in terms of the whole back and forward, him going back and forward with Ryan Clark, man, both of y'all played in the NFL. Y'all both paid, so I don't understand why, we got a ticket. Why we got to go in the gutter from that perspective in terms of everybody entitled to their own opinion. But do I agree with it? No. Would I attack him over his opinion? Not whatsoever. And lastly, to wrap it up, I think if his standard for a guy being a playmaker is what he was, I mean, everybody not going to be required to do as much as he had to do when he was in Carolina. So,
yeah, and that was going to be my point, Coach. And I don't mean to interrupt before I lose. I know we're wrapping it up. I think Cam is kind of, I'll say it. He kind of bitter because he didn't have the weapons that some of these quarterbacks had. And he took his team to the Super Bowl. So he's looking at it from another perspective. I'll just throw that out there. Continue, Coach.
Oh, no, bro. I was done. I just was saying I think he trying to use the standard that he holds himself to as a player in terms of what he had to do.
Right.
He measures all the other quarterbacks by the same standard in terms of he had to constantly make plays. He didn't have a whole lot of weapons at his disposal, and he had to kind of make things happen. And I think he really trying to hold other quarterbacks to that same standard. But at the end of the day, I think when he say a playmaker versus a game manager, I think the game manager, I think he look at maybe Jalen Hurts, maybe Brock Purdy, those type of guys as game managers, and he look at somebody as himself like a playmaker, like a Lamar Jackson is a playmaker in terms of having to do a lot. You know what I'm saying?
And he had to put on that case. He had Ted Ginn Jr. as his number one option at wide receiver. So,
And an old Jericho Cotchery. Yeah. Yeah.
And the kind of in terms of Anthony Bolton, to kind of piggyback to his point, he kind of did catch heat for saying that Tom Brady was the ultimate game manager. He in his mind, Tom Brady wasn't a playmaker. Tom Brady was a game manager, and Warren Sapp gave him a lot of flack for it. So he didn't flat out say, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, and he didn't name a bunch of white quarterbacks, but at the same token, he caught a lot of flack for calling Tom Brady the ultimate game manager, though.
and he
Good
said
point.
he was an elite game manager, and I agree with that. He's an elite, probably one of the best game managers we ever seen.
I ain't gonna lie.
You know what I'm saying?
I disagree with that point because some of the receiving cores he had for the Patriots, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of always felt like he was overhyped, to be truthful. I think in him early with the Patriots, he was a game manager. He had good defense. He had a good running game with Corey Dillon and this, that, and the third. And of course, I think him and Belichick and the whole system was cheating, stealing signals and that type of thing. But on the back end, some of the receiving cores he had, those guys, if you take them and put them anywhere else, they wouldn't have been as productive as they were with him. So I don't think Brady was a game manager. I think Brady was a playmaker. I don't think Brady was an athletic playmaker from a Cam Newton standpoint in terms of having to make plays and take off and run as often as Cam Newton and do things Cam Newton did. But to say Brady was a game manager, I think that's absolutely insane to me.
I mean, I think it's, and one thing back then what Cam was saying was the word game manager is looked down on, but that's actually a skill. You got to remember, and I know you remember this, Coach. Tom Brady had some elite defenses, on them Patriots team with Teddy Bruschi, Rodney Harrison, Ty Law. So he had to manage the game. You know what I'm saying? Score on this drive. You know what I'm saying? Run the ball with Corey Dillon, Lawrence Maroney, Danny Woodhead, all them boys. You know what I'm saying? So they did a lot of like bubble screens, throwing it the short passes to Julian Edelman, and Julian Edelman make a person miss and then get 10 more yards. So it's just, to me, I understand what Ken was saying. I think when we look at the word game manager, it's got a negative connotation to it. But to me, there's a lot of quarterbacks that can't manage the game worth a damn. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
I understood the logic and the premise behind what he said. That's why I say on the front end of his career, I felt like Bill Belichick and they staff did a lot of cheating in terms of stealing signals and that type of thing. But they had a killer defense and, like you said, good running game. But I think the fact that over the years that they won so much that he evolved from a game manager to a playmaker. All right. This is what a game manager is to me. You know the guy that Trent Dilfer, when he won a Super Bowl with y'all, he was a game manager. That's the quintessential game manager to me. In my opinion, I don't think you could put Tom Brady and Peyton Manning in that game manager list, because even though they can't make the plays like Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton with their legs, they still playmakers. They're just making those same plays with their arm. So I think when Cam Newton talk about game managers versus playmakers, I think he's talking about like mobile running type quarterbacks like himself and Lamar Jackson. I think he views those guys as like playmakers, and I think he views guys like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning as game managers. So I think at the end of the day, my playmaker game manager, I think Cam Newton and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, I think all of those guys were playmakers, and I think somebody like a Trent Dilfer, like a Brock Purdy, I think those guys are game managers.
I wouldn't put Brock Purdy in the same category as Trent Dilfer.
You think he's better or worse?
He's better. He's better than Trent Dilfer. Most definitely.
Man, you gotta realize, Trent, I think you're sleeping on Trent.
No, I ain't sleeping on Trent. I've seen Trent more than you have, because Trent was blessed to be. He's in the same category as Nick Foles. Let's just say that.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think he was better than Sean King when he was with the Bucs, but I think Trent Dilfer was better with the Bucs than you give him credit for being. I mean, don't get me wrong.
He had a big arm. He fit in our offense because we ran the ball. We had Jamal Lewis and a Ricky Priest arms. So we're gonna run the ball, do play action, throw it to our tight end, Shannon Sharp and Tidy, and then throw it over your head. So we wasn't gonna ask him to do that crazy throwing no win. Yes,
he was
suitable. Just like Nick Foles. You got all the weapons there. Just don't F it up. Here's the keys to the car. Don't F it up. So when I say Tom Brady was an elite game manager, he can make playmaking throws, but he's not going to. You're not going to worry about. You ain't got to worry about him throwing a pick. You know what I'm saying? In the wrong time. We had to worry about that with Trent. So we didn't ask him to do what Tom Brady is doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I put Brock Purdy in that. I put Brock Purdy in that Trent Dilfer.
Damn.
Hell no.
I don't care what nobody says. Because realistically, I think Trent Dilfer, when he was with the Colts, when he was with the Bucks, I think he was better than people gave him credit for. Don't get me wrong. I think early in his career he screwed up a lot, but I think once he got to the Ravens, he was a journeyman veteran type quarterback, and he knew enough to not make the same mistake on the back end.
See, y'all, we about to go off the rails. I'm about to give you.
Go
ahead. Uh-huh.
We're gonna see if Brock Purdy is good as people say he is. Now that he don't have Deebo Samuel and some of them other weapons he had the last 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, Jay. I got a school coach on Baltimore Ravens issue, and I know he knows. So I'm just talking.
Yeah,
but
I'm finna say you to the choir. I know Trent Dilfer better than. I don't even think you really saw Trent.
No. I'm not talking about that.
All right.
We had a brother before we got Trent. You gotta remember, we had to trade for Trent Dilfer or get Trent Dilfer. Did we trade for him, Jared, or was he already on the team? Because we had a brother on the team named
Tony Banks.
Tony Banks, black quarterback. I love Tony Banks. He was doing all right, but then there was a couple of games where our defense was shutting teams out, but we wasn't scoring no points because Tony Banks was throwing picks. So he was terrible. So he couldn't manage the game. No. But Trent Dilfer got in, right? And he was doing the same shit. So what we did was there was a strike. One of our fans said that they wasn't coming off their roof. They were gonna sleep on their roof of their house until the Baltimore Ravens scored a touchdown. And I think it was like week 10 or week 11 where we finally scored a touchdown. It was like 5 weeks we didn't, or something crazy like that, where we didn't score a touchdown. So I'm saying that Trent was better than Tony Banks, but it wasn't that better because he finally scored. But I think Trent was good for us at that time. The reason why we released him the next year is because we knew he wasn't the future QB we needed. Now,
y'all went to Elvis Grbac, if I'm not mistaken, I think.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. We went to Elvis Grbac. Now,
Elvis Grbac,
I want to keep.
Elvis Grbac was more playmaker with the 49ers. They thought he could make them same plays when he came to the Ravens.
Hey, fellas, let's move it on.
Okay.
So first, I want to say salute to Queen 71. He said salute fellas listening while driving to work. Appreciate you, sister. Always support.
Man, salute Queen. Hey, I sent you a message on Instagram, Queen.
And I know, and if I miss y'all message, excuse me, y'all. J6 said, don't forget Alex Smith was one of the best game managers most QB would have killed to have the career he had minus a serious leg injury. That's true.
That's facts.
Hurts is not a game manager. He clutch big game quarterback. He's been doing this since college. He has toughness and resilience, and I have to admit to that as a Cowboys fan. Yeah.
Big facts, Anthony. That's my
Trent Dilfer is Carson Wentz after the injury. Facts.
Damn.
Trent Dilfer is Brad Johnson. That's all JB saying.
That is a fact. That is a fact. Brad Johnson.
Yeah,
perfect.
I can see that.
Well, if you got time, Jared, I want to add a little bit to it before we move on. I'll make it brief. So, two things. It don't matter what Cam Newton say. It don't matter what Ryan Clark say. It don't matter what we say. What matters is how the fellas in the locker room feel about Jalen Hurts. Everybody in the locker room loves Jalen Hurts, and he's the captain of the team. People can say oh, so and so better than Jalen Hurts. That's cool. Ain't nobody gonna do that tush push like Jalen Hurts. You ain't doing no tush push for no Brock Purdy. You ain't doing it with no Trevor Lawrence. You ain't doing it with Russell Wilson. You ain't doing it with Aaron Rodgers. Jalen Hurts is made and built for that team. The Steelers, I'm not about Steelers. The Eagles are a hard nosed, rough and tough city. That's Jalen Hurts. He's durable, he's reliable, and he's a team player. Everybody in the locker room loves him. Ain't nobody trading Jalen Hurts for any other quarterback, not even Joe Burrow. So as long as the fellas in the locker room love him and appreciate him, that's all that matters. Secondly, we can say whatever we want about Jalen Hurts. The list really should be about who are the top organizations in the league who actually are trying to win. So we can say that Jalen Hurts is not doing this, not doing that. The Eagles are spending money. The Eagles are drafting well. The Eagles are building teams to win games and to win championships. Perfect example, we have the Bengals. The Bengals don't want to spend no money. They only want to sign their top DN, who was the sack leader last year. So if you don't want to spend money, if you can't orchestrate the team, if you can't drive players, it don't matter who your quarterback is because you're not going to win. So people can say what they want about Jalen Hurts. The Eagles organization is a winning organization now. They're signing players, they're drafting players, they're developing players, and they're constructing the team around Jalen Hurts. Last time I checked, Jalen Hurts went to a Super Bowl twice, and he won one. And ain't nobody training him for nobody else. At the end of the day, if we're gonna make a list, let's make a list of the top teams that want to win. Because I know the Cowboys ain't trying to win. The Giants ain't gonna win nothing. We feel like the Jaguars gonna win anything. How the Cardinals doing? You know what I mean? How the Chiefs they winning, but they don't even want to update their facility. It still look like 1994 in there. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts is a winner. The Eagles are winners. Last time I checked, you got to beat them. You know what I mean? If you want to win the Super Bowl. So who knows? Next year, again, it still might be the Chiefs and the Eagles. But long story short, Jalen Hurts is that boy, regardless if you got him on the list or not.
Good
Mic
point.
drop.
Good point. And we did we cooked the football section, fellas. So we're gonna move on. Last point we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about boxing, man. So we had a couple of scraps going on last night. We had Clarissa Shields versus Lonnie Daniels, and then we had Alexander Zayas versus Jorge Garcia Perez, and then we had Tony Harrison versus Edward Diaz.
And
So
Shushu fought last night.
and
Shushu Carrington.
Shushu Carrington fought. He won by unanimous decision. Now, the Tony Harrison, I was on. Shout out to Junior the Truth. I was on his live last night listening to the fight. So he went live, and everybody that was in the chat was hoping and praying. It was hilarious that Tony did not get dropped. He was boxing beautiful, and we started noticing he started getting hit by punches that he shouldn't. You know what I mean? And then was it the 9th or 10th round? I can't remember. He felt like he hurt Diaz, and he started throwing combinations. And old boy threw an overhand right and dropped Tony Harrison. And everybody in the chat was like, "Damn, we knew it." But he didn't get knocked out. He held on, and he won by unanimous decision. Now the Xander Zayas fight against Jorge Garcia Perez. Jorge Perez made it a good scrap, but that Xander Zayas was he boxed masterclass, man, masterclass. And Clarissa Shields basically put them pity pats on Lanny Daniels all night. Lanny Daniels tried to run, but it was. I wouldn't say it was. I ain't gonna do this. She made it entertaining toward the end of the round. She tried to give Clarissa a fight, but yeah, Clarissa was no match for Clarissa. But any of you fellas see the fight last night, and what was your feedback?
Sure did. I saw the Xander fight. First off, shout out to Xander. He won. Some people think that he's going to be the next, Puerto Rican prodigy. We gonna see. Is it gonna be another Miguel Cotto? I know they've been looking for a champion to represent Puerto Rico for a while because we sure know it ain't gonna be Berlanga, So and it sound like the Puerto Ricans ain't claiming Shakur because Shakur didn't even have a Puerto Rican flag when he was on that car when he had Puerto Ricans in the house. So I don't know. So I guess the next Puerto Rican sensation they wanted to be is Xander. So shout out to Xander for winning. But I will say this. It's quite interesting how Tim Bradley and them, how they were able to eloquently say how Xander Zayas he's not running, he's not moving around, he's just frustrating his opponent with his feet. He just frustrating him with his feet. And the other black fighter they run around, oh, he's running, he's moving, stand still. Nobody did we hear Catfish Face? Did we hear him say that Devin Haney was frustrating old boy with his feet in his last fight? No, what they say? Oh, why he running? Sit still. What are he doing? And all that kind of stuff. And if I remember, in the Zayas fight, he was doing a whole lot of clinching. Didn't they have a clinch counter for Devin Haney when he fought? Because I counted at least in one round, he clinched at least 5 times. At least 5 in one round. So we go back and tally it on up. It was a whole lot of clinching in that fight, but they ain't say that. Oh, he's boxing beautifully. Oh, he's tying them up. Oh, he's not letting them get busy. So y'all want to pay attention to that. So next time somebody say Devin Haney running, just say he's frustrating him with his feet. If they say, oh, why Devin Haney clinching, just say he's boxing beautifully and he's and he's tying them up. So so this is some language we can use going forward. Now, Clarissa Shields. Shout out to Clarissa. The whole thing was sold out. Detroit showed up. I love seeing all them black folks everywhere. They had the buffs on. They had their Sunday dress. I know some folks had Stacey Adams on. Everybody was looking good. Shout out to the black folks who showed up and show out. For Clarissa. We're going to fight. Lonnie Daniels, she ran the first 3 rounds. She was just, trying to survive. She was a little scared. I heard that her game plan was to, maybe tire Clarissa out, but even though Clarissa a heavyweight, she's in good shape. So she can go all 10 rounds, and get women's boxing as only 10 2-minute rounds. It's ain't like the men's where they do 3 12-minute rounds. So, you're gonna be in there long, but not as long as the men. And then Clarissa, you can tell she was getting frustrated with her running, and eventually Lonnie stood in the pocket and she started to box, and she actually started to scrap. Clarissa was hitting her with some massive body shots. Clarissa was hitting her with some haymakers, but Clarissa was a little too right hand happy. You can almost see she was kind of telegraphing that. If she set up her punches a little more, she probably could have got up out of there. But shout out to Lonnie Daniels. I know everybody gonna bash her for the running, but she is tough as hell. So she took a lot of nasty body shots. She ain't fold. She took a lot of nasty power punches. Didn't fold. She stood up each round and went in there and showed up and showed out. So she's very durable and she's a tough chick. So no matter what people say, I saw Clarissa land several nasty shots. I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. And she stood there. She ain't flinched. She ain't been over. She kept on working. So shout out to Lonnie Daniels for eventually showing up and giving everybody a good show. Now I've seen some folks criticizing Clarissa. I ain't gonna say no names. Folks saying that she should have knocked her out, and this is terrible, and this is trash. You promised us a knockout and we ain't get it. Y'all got all this critique, but Clarissa Shields is what she should and shouldn't be doing. She's one of the greatest women fighters of all time. Multi-division champion, undisputed, undefeated. But y'all got all this critique for her. but y'all ain't got no critique for Pitbull Cruz. Y'all give Pitbull Cruz more praise for losing to Tank than you give Clarissa for winning. You know, and I'm highly disappointed that none of the brothers showed up to go watch her. Because Clarissa shows up to all the fellas fights and show up and show love. Shakur wasn't there. I know Bud normally shows up though, but he wasn't there. Devin wasn't there. Wilder wasn't there. Charles was there. None of them showed up. But you always see Clarissa at every fight showing up and showing love. She was just out. I don't want to hear no excuse about, oh, I'm in training camp. Clarissa was training and she sat up and watched Shakur fight in person. She was in training camp and she showed up. So what is y'all Negroes excuse? Why come y'all can't reciprocate? So anyway, shout out to the Globe. What she gonna do next? Maybe fight Shadeja. I know she want to have a kid with Papoose. Hey, ain't no wrong with her taking some time off, but I know she's hard to fist grease right now, so she might want to keep the train rolling. But I know she's trying to fight Layla Ali with the 15 million real. Yeah. If she gonna fight Layla, I don't know. Is the 15 million real or not? I don't know. You know, but you know, either way, sky's the limit for her. She's the best fighter.
If Turkey out of Sheik involved, it's real.
Yeah, but I heard, but you know, Layla fought so long. She 40-something years old. Did she want to go out there and get a dog walk for a check?
No,
you know.
Yeah, she needs to stay where she at.
Yeah, I just want to say, hey, you know, hey, Layla Ali. I love Layla. I've seen all Layla fights growing up. She got what 20-something, 22 knockouts and 24 fights, something like that. I love Layla. But you talking about ring rust? If we think EJ got ring rust, Lord have mercy. You know, Layla got ring rust. Anyway, shout out to Shushu. Shout out to Clarissa, and also shout out to Xander Zayas, the next Puerto Rican prodigy, as they say.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Layla enjoying life with former wide receiver Curtis Conway. She ain't trying to get back in the ring. Okay, Coach, what's your thought? What was your thoughts on the fight last night, if you seen them?
Well, in terms of Xander Zayas, Big Joe must have read my mind, because on the first ever episode of the Southern Baller Show, we talked about Brett Favre effect. And what we described it as, you know, when we used to watch HBO Championship Boxing, and you would have somebody like Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Larry Merchant with his racist ass, and Jim Lampley. Oh, why is he running? What? Quit running. The same thing. Butter Biscuits Tarble and Butter Biscuits Bradley be talking about. It used to be the same thing in terms of, oh, he's running around and this is boring. Quit running. But Oscar De La Hoya would do the exact same thing. This is beautiful boxing. Look at Oscar on his toes pumping his jab. And I'm like, what? Or you watch football, and the person that was guilty of this to me all the time that Senior couldn't stand was Chris Collinsworth. Brett Favre getting the game, Brett Favre would literally throw in a triple and quadruple coverage. Oh my God, he's a gunslinger. Black quarterback throwing a double coverage. Oh, that was a stupid throw. So I see the same thing with Xander Zayas. You know what I'm saying? He on his toes, he boxing. You know, hey, you know, he's frustrating with his feet. Devin Haney does the exact same thing. And guess what? He's running. Quit running. Keep still and let it punch you in the face. You know, play Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Be Rocky Balboa. And I'm like, bro, I can't stand this whole no running. It's clearly racist at its finest. Racism at its finest. It's like watching HBO Championship Boxing from the 90s. It's like Brett Favre effect. Brett Favre throwing a quadruple coverage. He's a gunslinger. Black quarterback throwing a double coverage. It's a stupid throw. I can't stand it. And in terms of Xander Zayas, people talking about he's going to be the greatest Puerto Rican boxer. He's going to surpass Miguel Cotto. Yeah, I think I need to pump y'all brakes and just let him do what he do. In terms of Clarissa Shields, I think she should have went to the body much sooner than she did. I think, you know, in terms of the other young lady running, I think if she would have been able to cut the ring off and go to her body, I think she could have broken on and eventually stopped her. Didn't happen. In terms of the whole Layla Ali thing, man, Layla Ali's prime and Clarissa Shields' prime is not concurrent. As a result, I think it's kind of like similar to the Roy Jones Jr., Floyd Mayweather Jr. conversation we had last week. I think it's more conversation, more for the sake of conversation. To me, that's a realistic fight. I don't want to see Layla Ali get back in the ring at this stage in our life. You know, let that queen enjoy her retirement as far as I'm concerned. But other than that, you know, just good, decent boxing, you know. Oh, and one last thing, too. In terms of this is a debate I used to have all the time. I always felt like Alicia Baumgardner was much prettier, much easier on the eye, whereas Clarissa Shields was more thicker in the hips, got a lot more junk in the trunk. And I think it's still obvious looking at the weigh-in, you know, Clarissa, she got some cakes on her, you know what I'm saying? Whereas Alicia Baumgardner is a little bit more easy on the eye, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, man, and
Yes, Lord.
yeah. Baumgartner is easy on the eye, but she got that muscle butt though. But anyway, which ain't nothing wrong with. Don't get me wrong. But anyway, JB, what was your thoughts on the fights yesterday?
I mean, it was a good weekend of fight, good night of fights, man. You know, like you said, Xander, you know, did his thing. Didn't really get to watch the fight because I was on the DAZN card. I wished I'd have switched it back to after seeing them two heavyweights in there, one looking like somebody uncle fighting over the last piece of rib at the family cookout. That was terrible. But the Tony Harrison fight was funny. I kind of knew he was gonna get knocked down. He was taking, like, round one, he was taking shots that he shouldn't have. So I said, okay, in the later round, if this boy keep getting pressure on him, he's gonna drop Tony Harrison. Because I remember Tony Harrison back when he fought Willie Nelson. Tony Harrison fought this fighter named contender Willie Nelson.
And walked right into an uppercut.
Was a decent fighter. Willie Nelson was nothing to play with. He was a contender at one time, and everybody thought Tony was gonna wash him, but Willie Nelson had something for him. And like you said, he walked right into an uppercut. But he won most of the rounds. You know, so even when he got knocked down, and he was still up on the card, so that didn't matter. I think, like somebody said on the on Junior Truth stream yesterday, how y'all, back in the day they used to throw them shoes up there on the light post and they'd be hanging. Tony Harrison, especially in Cali, somebody need to take Tony Harrison gloves and throw them bitches up there. He don't need to fight another fight. But if he fight like contender or something, he gonna get hurt bad. So he need to go. If he gonna coach, he need to go home and coach. But like I said, I'm not. If he do what he want to do, but that's just my opinion.
You don't want to see the brother hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, don't want to see him hurt. The Clarissa Shields fight. The Clarissa Shields fight, man. That girl was from round one, like Big Joe said, her game plan was to move around a little bit, try to tire Clarissa out, use her feet. But one thing I know about Clarissa, about what a lot of men don't do, and they bitch and complain when they can't do it, is Clarissa know how to cut off the ring. So even when she was trying to move, Clarissa kept cutting off the ring, and eventually Dames got tired, and she had no choice. And then Clarissa hit her with some body shots, and she had no choice but to, stand there and fight. And then that was pretty much the fight. Daniels was tough. Contender, we'll see her again. I'm glad she's okay. But Carissa just showed why technically her cutting off a ring against a more mobile fighter just showed that she can fight against anybody. And I like the GOAT or one of the GOATs, Layla Ali. She need to sit down somewhere unless she really take it seriously and want to get back in the ring. That's gonna be ugly if she go in there with Carissa. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And as far as the shoo fight, I watched a little bit of it. Shoo did his thing, man. Uh, he put paws on that boy. You know what I'm saying? So I think he fought this one African brother or something like that. I forget his name.
Matias Heta.
Right. Or Cuban, or I might be wrong, forgive me. But he did, Shoo did his thing.
You were
I'm
right. He's
looking for
African.
him.
He's from the motherland.
Okay. So I'm looking for him to fight again. He got talent. He's gonna be a problem. I'm looking for him to fight somebody that, with a name, that's gonna be a 50-50 fight. So only if he, well, I take that back. We're gonna stop doing that. Yeah, so once he fights somebody with a name, then we're gonna see what's up with Shoo. Somebody's gonna, get him back, So, but as far as boxing, that's all the fights I watched here today. Pretty much.
Yeah. And y'all, man, what y'all think about yeah, I remember I mentioned 78 went live, man, and he mentioned about possibly Jake Paul wanting to fight Anthony Joshua. So it seems like the rumors are real. They're trying to Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul trying to get something. Nothing is official, but they're trying to get something cooking. What's your thoughts on that?
I think Anthony Joshua gonna hurt him bad. That's what I think. If he fight that, to be honest with you, because even though we know Anthony Joshua is a hoe and a coward for not fighting Deontay, and him and Eddie Hearn playing the shell games for the contract when it was time to fight Deontay. With that being said, I mean, he still got heavyweight power. And Jake Paul fighting these old fighters that don't really fight no more. Chavez, if Chavez would have pressed him, he would have got him out of there. But I don't. That whole fight was a disgrace. So if he go in there with Anthony Joshua, you ain't gotta worry about nobody pressing. Cause y'all seen when Joshua knocked out Francis Ngannou?
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be worse. So
basically, cut that out. They need to cut that shit out, basically.
Yeah, they're gonna get Jake hurt. But then again, because I don't hate Jake, you know what I'm saying? I think Jake is putting the fire under these other boxers who like to bullshit, not make fights. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta wait till, fights get old and fighters in their late 50s. You talking about let's make no. So Jake is coming in and his brother coming in and shaking up the boxing world. People can't stand them. Well, that's y'all fault.
Turkey as well. Yeah, that's true. Big Joe, what's your thoughts?
Is this actually a boxing match or an exhibition? I say that because a lot of Jake Paul's fights be exhibitions. They may not say that on the on the card, but it says that in the contract. Because it's been well known that a lot of Jake Paul's contracts say you can't knock me down, nothing like that. You can't knock me out. Now, when AJ fought Francis Ngannou, that was a real boxing match. And we saw what happened to Francis Ngannou when he fought AJ. But then we also saw what Francis Ngannou did when he fought Tyson Fury. So we all suspect that AJ should go out there and wash Jake Paul. But the question is, where is AJ at mentally? Because he literally just got dog walked by Daniel Dubois. So is he going to be the AJ that we know that fought Francis Ngannou, or he going to be the AJ that fought Daniel Dubois? And what's in the contract? Because Jake Paul don't fight nobody who ain't whatever.
Right.
So, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
And you cooking, and just in addition to what you're saying, there's also rumor where Jake Paul got Deontay Wilder in his mouth. Pause. You know what I mean? That he want to fight Deontay Wilder. He will surely die.
Well, boxing is boxing. You throw out names and say so and so ducking you and so don't want to fight you. That's just the name. That's just the air in boxing.
That's
you
true.
know what I mean? So
Clout,
it is what it is. Cloud chasing, saying names. Hell, when he didn't fight Canelo, he talked crazy about Canelo for a while. You dig what I'm saying? So this is just the nature of boxing. People gonna say stuff and don't mean it. See the person. I guarantee you, Jake Paul so wild in person, he don't have none of that same energy. So, but this is boxing. But back to the original point. We all know AJ. We all know AJ was hyped. We all know AJ wasn't as good as we say he was. We all know that. But AJ is what we call a UK hype job. He is a professional boxer. He did have titles, but he did duck a lot of fighters, and he didn't fight some of the best of the top competition. Still ain't fight Tyson Fury. Still ain't fight Deontay Wilder. He sure didn't fight Luis Ortiz. And then this is the same AJ who got washed by a journeyman and Andy Ruiz. So is it too far-fetched to say that Jake Paul might go out there and put a hurting on AJ? AJ ain't got no head movement. AJ, they say Haney got suspect chin. Are we gonna say AJ ain't got no chin too? AJ definitely ain't got no chin if Devin Haney ain't got one. So there's a reason why he's calling out Anthony Joshua. Obviously, did a face-off with Usyk. That definitely ain't gonna happen. But it's boxing. Everything's a circus. So it's not surprising if AJ will lose to Jake Paul, because AJ is not who they say he is. AJ's the same person that said, "Why do I feel this way?" You know what I mean? AJ's the same person that he's cripping one day, the next day he don't know who he is. So I mean, he's on par with who Jake Paul fights. So I'm not gonna be shocked if AJ loses Jake Paul. Daniel Dubois ain't the brightest light bulb in the world either, and we saw what he did to AJ. So they won't make the fight happen. It depends on if this is a real fight and if the real AJ shows up.
Facts, man. And Jada6 said, I hate that Jake Paul got in the ring with Alexander Usyk, and if Joshua takes a dive for the money, respect I have him. The respect I have for him is damn near non-existent. But it'll look bad for the business. Yes.
Well, let's not forget, everybody. Let's not forget. AJ gonna do what Eddie Hearn tell him to do. You gotta sign a lifetime contract with Eddie Hearn now. Lifetime. Boy, I own you even if you die.
Dang, so he a millionaire slave.
So if Eddie Hearn say, "Hey, yo, I need you to go out there and make that boy look good in Jake Paul," well, if it's a good thing or not, he gonna do what he told. So what do you think? AJ may take a dive for 30, 40 million? We just seen Danny the Boys take a dive for about 30, 40 million, 50, 60. It happens.
Yeah, that's true. And salute my brother D Man Jr. What's up with my bros, man? Ain't nothing, man. We were talking about football earlier, and now we talking about boxing to wrap everything up. And Jada 6, before I get to coach, he said Usyk will find a way to put Jake through a Russian gulag if he tries that shit again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jake know he don't want no problems, but anyway, coach, what was your opinion on the fights yesterday? If you watched them.
Oh no, I talked about the fights. We just was talking about Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. In terms of Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul, I don't see it being something that's gonna happen, because you got to realize the only reason why there's even a lane for Jake and Logan Paul is because as boxing fans, for years we haven't been able to get the fights that we wanted. I'm not gonna lie, even if somebody used to be a diehard boxing fan in the very late 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, it's to a point as a boxing fan, in some instances, like I could have access to watch a card and I don't even watch it because I've been so jaded in terms of a lot of fights I wanted to get as a fan I never really got. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of Jake Paul, that's the only reason why he even came into the sport of boxing. YouTube sensation, transition to boxing. If you look at his boxing career, for the most part, he pretty much, most of his fights against over-the-hill washed MMA fighters. So most of his fights aren't against real boxers, to keep it a buck. In the boxers he did fight, they pretty much like way past their prime, like Mike Tyson. Truthfully speaking, we've heard rumors of Jake Paul potentially fighting Roy Jones Jr., potentially fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr., potentially fighting Tank Davis. We got a face off with Usyk. Potentially he gonna fight Anthony Joshua. We saw what happened when Anthony Joshua fought against Francis Ngannou, who was synonymous with having a lot of power for MMA fighter. At the end of the day, if Joshua did what he did with Ngannou, man, Jake Paul stands a 0% chance in a real fight against Anthony Joshua. So I think this is just kind of a lot of buzz, a lot of hearsay, rumor, and innuendo from Jake Paul to kind of keep his name buzzing. Jake Paul could go in multiple different directions. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually tried to fight Roy Jones Jr. I don't see him trifling with Anthony Joshua, because if he fights that fight, he getting savagely knocked out, in my opinion. We saw what happened to Ngannou, and Ngannou was synonymous for having power for MMA fighters. So I don't think Jake Paul gonna fight Anthony Joshua, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you, man. But fellas, like I said, I tried to make it shorter, but everybody was cooking. Especially with JB and Coach talk about the between game manager and playmaker, but I loved it. We're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. Before we wrap everything up, do you want to add anything? Anybody want to add anything before we wrap it up, fellas?
I will say that Jake Paul is calling out a lot of people, but he sure ain't calling out Andre Ward. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, AKA Danny the Stuntman Willie. He don't want no problem.
Man. Andre hurt him bad.
All right, man. And before we get out of here, man, if you haven't done so already, y'all need to go and get you some Old Hillside bourbon if you're a drinking type person. Big Joe, everybody knows the specifics on how they can grab them a bottle.
Yes, sir. Old Hillside Bourbon Company, the official beverage sponsor of the 2025 Las Vegas LDBC meet and greet. If you want to grab you a bottle, you can grab you a bottle at Old Hillside Bourbon Company.com, Old Hillside Bourbon Company.com, or you can just Google Old Hillside Bourbon and the website will pop up. We got rye, we got single barrel, we got whatever you need. We even got bourbon infused cigars on the website that are made to order. So yeah, if you're looking for premium bourbon, if you like Uncle Nearest, you're gonna like Old Hillside Bourbon Company. It's again black-owned bourbon company. That's distilled in Kentucky. Along with all the other high-end brands as well. So again, Old Hillside Bourbon Company, Old Hillside Bourbon Company, Old Hillside Bourbon Company. I was a customer before I became a part of the team. So there's not somebody who's just on the team. This is somebody who was a customer, enjoyed it so much, got good with the family, and here I am. So I stand behind it 100%. So shout out to y'all. And again, Old Hillside Bourbon Company.
Yes, sir. And even if y'all don't drink, because me and JB don't drink like that, we still bought one for our dad because he have him a little taste every now and then, and he loved it. So even if you don't drink, you probably got an uncle, auntie, or somebody, a family member that likes bourbon. Man, this could be definitely a good present or a good gesture.
I was football season around the corner. Put your little steak on the grill, make your little mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese, and have your sip of Old Hillside. You dig what I'm saying? That's the best way to enjoy game day. Back to you, Jim.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I put the link in the chat box, so y'all make sure y'all support, man. But also, and I should have been mentioning this brother. He's one of the ones that been holding it down for Boxers fans and LDBC, other than 78. Junior the Truth, man. Y'all go to punchjunkie.com where you can even create an account. It's kind of like Facebook where all the people who are boxing fans and LDBC members can get together and talk about boxing. So Junior the Truth created his own diaspora as far as the boxing. So there's really no excuse. You hear social media, a lot of people social media stuff, there's no space for black people to talk about sports. Boxing, there it is. So it'll be right in front of us. We don't just take advantage of it. But Coach 67 Sports TV, let everybody know where they can meet you and see you, man.
Major shout out to the entire LDBC. Major shout out to our brother Lieutenant Brent Fox, couldn't be on. Shout out to Jay Good, the rest of the Southern Baller Show collective. You can catch me at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms. However, I'm primarily here on YouTube on my YouTube channel, Coach 67 Sports TV. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal evening. I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace and blessings, your day.
All right. And Big Joe, I know we promoting your partner brand, but is there anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yes, sir. You can catch me on all LDBC platforms, showing love to the brothers and sisters of the mighty. You dig what I'm saying? This is my gentleman tip for the week. Brothers, grooming is of utmost importance. When I say grooming, I mean if you have facial hair, keep your beard lined up or mustache. If you have hair, make sure you have a nice lineup. Make sure it's trimmed properly, however you like to style it. Or if you're bald-headed, like me, make sure your head is nice and shiny and clean. Presentation is of the utmost importance when we get up in age. We're not kids no more. It is upon you to properly present yourself wherever you go. You may never know who you're going to meet in public. So for me, I have a beard. I keep my beard lined up every 2 weeks. Unless I have stuff going on, I do it every week. When it comes to my head, I shave my head every 2 days. As soon as I get a little prickly, I'll go ahead and shave it off. You know what I mean? Because I never know who am I going to run into. Never know who you're going to meet. All you brothers out there looking for a wife, you don't want somebody to look at you crazy if you ain't looking cool. You know what I mean? Always present yourself properly. You know, have your keep your chest up high, feel good about yourself, and you never know who you're gonna run into. It could be your wife, or it could be your next partner, it could be a job, it could be somebody who can be your best friend, or it could be somebody you're gonna meet and develop a relationship down the road who can help you reach your goals. So, and presentation and grooming goes along with it.
Facts. Another gentleman tip by Big Joe Townsend. And JB, any last words so we can get out of here?
Man, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. Y'all have a better week and work week, man. Quick, easy, productive week. And that's another episode of the Southern Baller Show. Y'all keep balling out there and put God first, and I'll see you when I see you.
All right, just like JB said, this was another installment of the Southern Baller Show. Y'all be blessed.